Hi, everyone. Welcome to Pendulum Friday. Thank you very much for being here. Your continued support and kind words are everything. And to the donators, thank you so much. It always leaves me humble. I've been saying that for, I don't know, like 5 years, but every time it does. So I thank you very, very much for that. Just a couple quick things I want to touch base on. First of all, for those of us who are wondering who next was going to nominate Trump for a Nobel Prize, well, Netanyahu to the rescue. So apparently he has now nominated. The other thing I want to take a quick look at, so Tesla, they promise, not sure who, the world maybe, 250,000 cyber trucks on the road and around by 2025. That would be this year. So far, in their second quarter of this year, they have delivered 5,000. The Tesla Cybertruck is frankly considered an absolute flop and is now too closely associated with the far right. And so people do not want to own one unless they are really in favor of the far right and their philosophies. And the last thing I want to talk about is, the people who voted for Trump and are now shocked by what is going on with ICE. I saw a little blurb of some gentleman whose wife is Canadian. He went into the United States at the age of 10. So she's probably been there for at least 15 years, possibly more. I have no idea how old this one is. And she went for her immigration meeting, and ICE arrested her. Simple as that. And her husband said, well, I thought she was going to be fine because she doesn't have like a criminal record. So obviously you're one of those people who believes that, I don't know, that 5-year-old girl who was, or child who was getting cancer treatments, she must have had a criminal record according to your thought processes. This is crap. These people who don't pay attention and then yell and scream because, well, that's not what I thought. Well, it's not about what you thought. It's about what they say and do. My rant for the day. All right, let's get started. For anybody new to this channel, welcome. And if you haven't subscribed but you watch, I invite you to do so. All right, this is my handy dandy pendulum. This thing responds really quickly, as my regular viewers know. Pendulum, show me ready to talk. So when the pendulum is ready and I am protected, it goes side to side. Pendulum, show me yes. Back and forth. And no. There you go, round and round. Hang on a minute. Sorry, right there is a bag of clothes that Vanessa has compiled to donate to the Goodwill. And Atlas decided that he needed to double check what was in there. So we needed to stop that. Life with a Blue Healer. Anyways, his birthday's at the end of August, I think the 19th of August. And they say by 36 months, they stop being a cross between a baby blue healer and the Tasmanian devil. So we have our fingers crossed, Here we go. And the person who said I should put my elbow on a stack of Bibles to stabilize my elbows on the desk. This is as stabilized as it's going to get. You see that, my hand moving? That's the motivation or the momentum. The pendulum. Here we go. Has the push from the powers that put Trump in office begun to unseat him now that there is a building major resistance from the people. That's a yes. Next question. So, if so, will they succeed and put Vance in the Oval Office? Right now, that is a yes. But I'm being told to clarify. They are not concerned because people are upset. They're concerned because their products and services are catching a lot of flack, which then impacts their bottom line. Um, you have to understand these big corporations, they don't give a flying fig for the people. And as we're learning, neither do a significant number of politicians, because they're all about safeguarding self. Lisa McCroskey, absolutely brilliant example. Um, that's the mentality that you're dealing with. The people, until and it's happening, but you get these major protests with like millions of people. That's when they start going, oh, wait a minute, maybe we've crossed a line somewhere. But on a day-to-day basis, this is about the bottom line. It is about companies' money, the profits, stockholders, shareholders, and their personal wallet. And then the next question after that was, will Vance last the rest of Trump's term? That is a no. So this is what I'm hearing. It's kind of interesting. What they're saying is, whatever process happens that gets Trump out, Vance will automatically step up. But at that point, there are not Republicans who are terrified of him the way they are of Trump. And certainly by the time you get to the midterms, you're going to have um, a stronger showing of the Democrats. And so it feels like what's going to happen is they may very well impeach Vance for continuing some of the policies that are illegal, that go against the Constitution, et cetera, et cetera. So that'll be interesting. Now, mindful, if that happens, Mike Johnson is next in line. So, I don't know. I mean, sometimes you got to wonder if it's not better the devil you know than the one you don't. But that's the answer to the questions. Are the people around Trump, staff and cabinet members, aware of his declining health? Yes. And are they in a panic or concerned about what might happen? Yes. Will Josh Hawley be reelected? There isn't an answer right now, and that's interesting. My gut um, says that if the people who voted him in were okay with that fist pump and the running away like a scared little rabbit, what has he done that's so awful this time that's going to keep him out? Will the GOP ever apologize? No. What they're going to do is what they always do, which is rewrite history, deny they had anything to do with it, and tell you you're remembering incorrectly. Will things get better in the US? Well, for God's sakes, at some point they have to. Let's put just sort of a little bit of a caveat on this. By 2030, will the United States be in a healthier, happier, and a more integrated place than it is now? Yes. Is F-45's economic sabotage intentional, aimed at destroying the US dollar, thus magnifying the clout of 45's unregulated crypto leverage fuel? Leverage. Does that fuel his dominance and economic power? Because it will be, of course, to his benefit. So let's just start with this for a second. Does Trump actually understand that when he applies tariffs, it is the people of the country that pays the price? Like, does he actually understand that? No. Is he doing what he can do to magnify the power of unregulated crypto? Yes. So it's interesting, right? But I do remember, um, I do remember, I don't know who it was. It was one of the leaders, like one of the country leaders. It could even have been Carney, but said after a meeting with Trump, they realized he truly believes that, I don't know, every country has a little bank account that's set aside that's to pay for tariffs. He absolutely does not believe that the cost get trickled down to the consumer. Um, whether it's the country that pays it or the business that pays it. But either way, he doesn't understand that process of, you charge more, the manufacturers have to charge more, you tariff something like aluminum, and every single pop/soda manufacturers freaked because all of a sudden now it's going to cost X number more cents to get the product in the can, because manufacturing the can is going to go up. He doesn't get it. He just doesn't. And you know what? I think that we are all waiting in vain if we think that he is going to somehow miraculously understand the wrong path that he's taken. Comculus had a strong disagreement with Trump, and he was called all kinds of names, all kinds of bad names from Trump and some of the senators. Um, some of the senators are stating strong disagreement with his treatment. Will the senators continue to stand with him? Yes, but you know what? It's almost a little bit of a reluctant yes, because what you have is they'll stand until such time that somebody lets them know the benefit of not standing, of standing down. Whether that's because they are threatened or they're promised something, they're given some kind of goodie bag, whatever it is. And so that's the problem right now is nobody is loyal to anything but themselves. And that includes all the people who appear to be loyal to Trump. They're not loyal to Trump. They're loyal to themselves, to protecting themselves. Um, will Tillis continued to stand up against F45 for the rest of his term. So he's a senator. I don't know when his term ends, but let's just ask that question broadly. Will Tillis continue to stand up against 45? That's a yes. Will 45 be removed from office before the end of the year? I'm sorry, I'm getting a no. And I know there are other readers who are saying by September, by the end of this year. As of right now, the energy right now, it doesn't look like that's something that's going to be accomplished um, in the next 5 months. Okay, Iran's top cleric, Grand Ayatollah um, Shiraz. I'm not saying all the rest of those names; they're like tongue twisters. Has issued a fatwa for the assassination of Donald Trump. Now, a fatwa, for those of you who don't know, is when literally the grand cleric says, he is our enemy, kill him. Like literally, that's what it means. It's like a death sentence. The thing is that I guess we'll have to wait and see if that actually comes to pass. But is 45 concerned about this fatwa against him? Yes, but it feels like it's not in the top five. Like, because he just doesn't think that anybody can stop him. Like, he truly believes that he's, I don't know, how old is he, 78? Um, the most invincible 78-year-old on the planet, right? Trump has recently criticized Putin after restoring arms shipments to Ukraine. Has the Putin EM romance upset Trump? Hmm. Yes, it does. I'm just going to ask, does Trump feel betrayed by Putin? And does Trump feel that Putin has made him look like a fool? It's also a yes. Does Trump fear that Putin is a barrier to his getting the Nobel Peace Prize? My question. Does Trump fear Putin's ability to somehow mysteriously impact the quality of Trump's life? There's a lot of windows in the White House. Just saying. Will EM be able to move his political objections? Oh my God. Sorry, I'm kind of a little tired today. Can you tell? Objections forward by the formulation of the new American Party. So his policies are sort of interesting. They're like, get rid of everything that isn't going to any benefits that are not going to environmentally friendly stuff. So fossil fuels out, everything else in. Everything else, because he owns everything else or as a part of it. Um, a push towards cryptocurrency. Um, Sorry, and there was one other one that was, again, when you looked at it, it was to his benefit. Um, so let's let's just ask this first. Is the American Party going to gain traction? It's a small yes. Is it going to gain traction with from the MAGAs, the Trump supporters? No, because if Trump hates you, well, they do too. So, um, is the American Party going to have any sort of a strong or significant showing um, by the midterms? Yes. Okay. Will he have the help of Mark Cuban? That's no. This is the thing. Um, in many, many ways, EM's status um, has been really diminished. And it's kind of like his Cybertruck. People are very reluctant to cozy up to him in any sort of obvious or public way because right now he is still, what is it that Rick Wilson guy says? Everything touches dies. So his his reputation is on life support at this point. Are the senators and representatives being physically threatened? Yes. Will the Trump administration be successful in implementing the cuts to Medicaid as they're outlined in the BBB? No. Not how that's going to happen, but no. This nonsense about a 200% tariff of any incoming product used in pharmaceuticals, product coming from other countries, 200% tariff. Um, and he's very generously giving the big pharmaceutical companies 18 months to just straighten it out and get with the program. Again, as I ranted and raved, I think in the last video, you can't snap your fingers and create a manufacturing plant. And there are products that are used that, whether it is cost prohibitive or simply not available, that need to come from other countries. But again, he does not understand. And let's not forget, he considers those kinds of companies. Oh my God, I need some rest. Um, Pharmaceutical companies as loving him because he gives them really good tax breaks, and so he thinks that he's actually making them happy. Did some of the people that wrote Project 2025 write the big beautiful bill? Yes. In particular, the Office of Management and Budget Director Russell Vaughn. Yes. Did Stephen Miller write the portions having to do with funding for ICE? and the building of detention centers. And that's a yes. Will any nation or entity start putting sanctions on the U.S. for human rights abuses? Excellent question. Okay. A non-answer. It is something that is being considered, but again, it's like poking a dragon, with a stick. That has to be weighed against his instinctive reaction to retaliate. And so it's sort of on the table, but there would have to be a lot that goes into um, that kind of behavior. I think by and large, other companies are hurting him with reciprocal tariffs. They're hurting him with companies leaving the United States. He's being hurt in other ways. I'm not actually sure that he understands that either. Trump is making demands of a 50% tariff if Brazil doesn't stop the witch hunt against former dictator ruler Bolsonaro. Bolsonaro. I'm sorry. I'm just so bad with names. You know what I'm trying to stumble out here. Will the new Democratic leader of Brazil cave? It's sort of a non-answer. There's a teeny tiny no there. But the follow-up question was, and am I going to have to pay much more for my coffee? Well, yeah, because again, the tariffs, you can tariff Brazil 100%. It's the American people who pay the 100% tariff, unfortunately. The Epstein files. Were the Epstein files destroyed by Bondi or the DOJ? No. Interesting. Aside from the Trump factor, it makes you wonder if they don't feel that they can use um, some of what's in that file as leverage against other people. Just a thought. I was surprised to learn that the MAGAs want to see the Epstein files. They think that Democrats are on the client list and that Dems are responsible for the alleged death of Jeffrey Epstein. Will this be an issue that won't go away? Okay. Is the push to see the Epstein files going to diminish? No. So people aren't going to let go of this. Um, just by the way, I know that there has been a lot of talk, confusion, questions about Jeffrey Epstein and whether or not this gentleman has left the earth or not, because there seems to be sort of nobody can get clarity on that. The clarity I got when I asked, and this is for a whole bunch of you guys who may not have seen it, was that he is still alive, but he's brain dead. I don't know why he's being kept alive, but that was what I was told. And that's why he's not really alive and he's not dead. He's in that space. I'm just going to ask, has Jeffrey Epstein transitioned to the other side as a result of dying here on the planet? Has he made that transition? No. The craziest thing, eh? I mean, I guess that answer is just about as good as anybody else's, right? Okay. That's what I know. Joyce, thank you so very, very much for doing this for me. You are amazing as always. Okay. It's the weekend. Don't forget to do something nice for yourself and somebody else. I will see you next week on Monday and then again on Wednesday. Again, I thank you for your ongoing support and I wish you a good weekend. I will see you next week. Until then, take care and be well. Bye for now.